The journey of a man who reached beyond the stars. A journey that began not with rockets or spaceships, but with the dreams of a young boy who looked up to the sky. Today we tell the story of a man whose name is forever etched in history, Neil Armstrong. From a small town in Ohio to the surface of the moon, his journey is one of courage, determination, and unwavering belief. This is Neil Armstrong's journey, one step that became a giant leap for mankind. Neil Alden Armstrong was born on August 5, 1930, in Wapakoneta, Ohio. From a young age, Neil was fascinated by the sky. He would look up at the stars and dream. But his journey didn't start with the moon. It began with flight. At just 6 years old, Neil took his first flight in a small airplane. That moment sparked something inside him, a passion for flight that would guide him through his life. He knew then that he wanted to be a pilot, a dream that seemed distant yet within his reach. By the time he was 16, Neil had already earned his pilot's license, an extraordinary achievement for someone so young. This was just the beginning. Armstrong had a goal: to soar higher than anyone had before. Neil Armstrong's path to becoming an astronaut was not easy. Like many great pioneers, his journey was full of obstacles and challenges. After earning his degree in aerospace engineering, Neil joined the U.S. Navy. He flew 78 combat missions during the Korean War, proving his skill, courage, and composure under pressure. But it wasn't just his combat experience that made him stand out. It was his dedication to learning and advancing in the field of flight. After the war, he became a test pilot, flying experimental aircraft at breakneck speeds. In 1962, Neil Armstrong was selected as one of the original NASA astronauts. But even at NASA, success was not guaranteed. The space program was still in its early stages, and there were many setbacks. Armstrong faced doubt, failure, and the constant pressure of being part of an effort that seemed almost impossible. But Neil had a belief in himself, and it would carry him through. The year was 1969, and the world was watching. The Cold War was in full swing, and the United States had made a promise to land a man on the moon and return him safely by the end of the decade. The stakes were high. It was more than just a mission. It was about proving the impossible could be done. Neil Armstrong was chosen to be the commander of Apollo 11, the mission that would land on the moon. But even now, with everything on the line, Neil Armstrong remained calm. The weight of history rested on his shoulders, but he never let fear or anxiety take hold. He was focused. On July 20th, 1969, Armstrong, along with Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins, embarked on a journey that would change the world. As the lunar module descended toward the surface of the moon, Neil's heart raced, but his hands remained steady. It was an unprecedented moment, and the entire world was waiting. There were problems. The landing site was not as smooth as they had hoped. The lunar module's guidance system was malfunctioning. Yet Armstrong remained calm, guiding the spacecraft manually, his focus unwavering. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the lunar module landed. The moment was here. The world held its breath. With a small step, Armstrong became the first human to set foot on the moon's surface. His words echoed around the globe. That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. The world erupted in joy. People of all nations watched, listened, and celebrated. It was a moment of unity, a moment when all humanity stood together, looking to the future. After the historic moon landing, Neil Armstrong's life would never be the same. He returned to Earth as a hero, but he did not seek fame. Instead, he quietly continued his work as an astronaut, a teacher, and an advocate for space exploration. Neil never forgot the weight of his responsibility, nor the small step that had such a monumental impact. He became a symbol not just of human achievement, but of humility and purpose. Armstrong's legacy lives on. He showed us that with enough courage, determination, and a willingness to believe in the impossible, anything is possible. He did not just land on the moon. He inspired generations to reach for the stars and to never give up on their dreams. His story teaches us that greatness is not about seeking glory. It's about pursuing a passion, facing challenges, and pushing through when the odds seem insurmountable. Armstrong never stopped dreaming, and neither should we. Neil Armstrong's journey was more than just one man's path to the moon. It was a journey that inspired all of us to think bigger, dream higher, and aim further than we ever thought possible. As we look up at the stars tonight, let us remember that the sky is not the limit. It's just the beginning. Are you ready to take your next step? Remember, the only limits are the ones we place on ourselves. Neil Armstrong didn't just step onto the moon. He took a leap that changed the world forever, and you can take your own leap, whatever your moon may be.